Hello everyone, it's History Behind the Warrior, and as always, welcome back to yet another Mortal Kombat video. Now today, with us having talked about the lesser known, cult beloved characters of the series, like Chrome, Hydro, Hornbuckle, and the ever elusive Floyd, I wanted to touch on an individual that I've only ever briefly mentioned in prior videos, but never quite talked about or went into great detail with, and that is the lost erased vampire for Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Kahil Grigesh, an individual only revealed a few years ago through an Ed Boon tweet, with some actual lore significance behind his creation, as well as his somewhat cancellization, as he has ties to Vaeternus, Nitara, and Ashura in a very interesting way. However, with that in mind, we're also actually going to be touching on the creation of this character, to understand why he was cancelled, and what actually led up to it, because there was a number of different issues plaguing the series at this time, which may have led to him being cut. But with that said, just before we do begin here, quick reminder that if you like what we do here and wish to see more, as always, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, as a great way of staying up to date with everything we do here, and does of course support the channel in the algorithm. But anyway, let's dive right into things. Now to talk about Kahil Grigesh, we can't really just touch on his debut, but the situation surrounding Deadly Alliance in 2002, as the series had fallen out of favour with fans in the late 90s. Because you see, following the release of MK4, the series would continue to expand in different directions, with spin-off games being the main focus of it. And this led to the creation of games like Mortal Kombat Special Forces and Mortal Kombat Mythologies. Games designed to enrich the world, but came at the expense of the quality of the game itself. And you gotta keep in mind, Mythologies and Special Forces released back to back with each other. Games so horribly panned by fans and critics alike, that Mortal Kombat's parent company Midway would actually give the team more time to work on the next installment, especially with one of the figureheads of the studio, John Tobias, having left in the middle of Special Forces. So with John Vogel now at the helm, a new creative mind and visionary, we then get up to Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, where Kahil Grigesh would be one of the many characters on the cutting room floor. And I'm not exaggerating when I said there's a lot of characters here, as there was a multitude of different ideas that spanned across the spectrum, but one theme that they did settle upon was succession, as they designed new individuals and characters with the purpose of succeeding their predecessors. So characters like Su Hao, Movado, and Frost were made with the design purpose of being the new generation, which in a way did make Cahil and Nitara very unique, as they didn't follow the similar mold in that regard. But with that in mind, not quite everyone made the cut, as individuals in development like Tiamat would be sidelined in favour of fan-beloved Reptile. There was a lot of contributing factors that led to these characters' inclusions, as they needed to feel unique yet different. But this is where Kahil Grigesh comes into play, as during the early development of Deadly Alliance, there was two vampire characters in development, the more well-known Nitara and the lost Kahil Grigesh. Now both of these characters were being made alongside each other, with the intent of Kahil Grigesh releasing alongside Nitara in Deadly Alliance. However, for reasons that are still yet to be known many years later, as Ed has never elaborated on the finer details, Kahil simply did not make the cut, and wasn't 100% ready, despite the fact that he wasn't simply just concept art anymore. They got quite far in development with the character, as he did have an official model, the only actual official released image of Kahil Grigesh. So under normal parameters, Kahil Grigesh could simply be looked at as a character that never quite made it off the cutting room floor, a simple tale of what could have been. However, there is actually some super important lore significance to the character, which does tie him back into the series despite his scrapped nature, because it has been revealed that Cahil was actually the wielder of the Datusha before Ashura was, and as far as we know, its original wielder and owner. Now for those unaware, the Blade of Datusha is an incredibly significant weapon to that of not just Ashura, but Vaeternus itself, the homeworld of the vampires from which it originates from. Now the blade itself is somewhat sentient in its purpose, because due to its origin, it does have a lust for blood. But the wielder of this blade would not actually know this, under the delusional belief that by wielding the blade and killing evildoers, it was actually allowing the wielder to ascend to that of a higher plane, to become divine as its acts were deemed as righteous. It's unknown if Cahil was the one to forge the blade, but he is the oldest and only known wielder prior to that of Ashra. Under the influence of the Datusha, Cahil went on a bloody massacre across his home realm, bathing Vaeternus in oceans of blood. It was only until the slaughter was over where he was able to regain his senses and come to the horrible realization of his actions, that his path and quest wasn't quite as just as he believed. So seeking atonement and exile, Cahil believed that the best way to stop such a massacre from ever happening again would be to take it where no one else could be hurt, the Netherrealm. By casting it to the Hells, he planned to trap it there, and finally, as a form of penance, take what was left of his shattered soul, passing on and seemingly damning the blade. However, such a wish was in vain. The blade would yearn out for yet another desperate soul, the demon Ashra, who would go on to repeat the very same cycle, with the massacre of Vaeternus in between Deception and Armageddon. So his end is one that is in vain, and if you think about it, does the very thing he tries to prevent, as Ashra is able to achieve so much with it in her possession. So the tale of Kahil Grigesh is truly that of a tragic one, because for a character that never quite came to be, he sure as hell did a lot of damage off screen, both in life and in death. And I will kinda say, whilst his time in the series is very brief, I do love that even from a cancelled character concept, there is still some significance and importance behind his creation, as it doesn't strictly tie him to the game, but still allows him to have made an impact in the lore. So with that said everyone, what are your own personal thoughts on Kahil Grigesh? And most importantly, would you like to see him return as a fully fledged character? Because I definitely feel like, unlike some of the characters I've touched on previously, he arguably has the strongest chances of any of them here, as he is canon even if it is loose. Well, once again, before we wrap things up here, with us still covering these cult beloved characters, if you have any suggestions of your own, please do comment down below, as it's a great way of letting me know what you guys would like to see. But for now everyone, that has been it for me. So as always, stay strong, stay well, and I'll catch you in the next one.